Hey, what's up?
All your favorite artists.
Check it out.
Say my name.
DJ Khaled.
This is Mila J.
Bruno Mars.
On hot7025fm.com.
What's going on, everybody? It's your main man, 360, the poet from the Morning Wood, and I'm here to talk to you about the Sci-Fi Center. It's your Vegas home for science fiction, horror, and fantasy. From comic books, toys, and posters to movie screenings and live events, they've got you covered. Located at 900 Cameron Avenue, Suite B209, give them a call, 702-900-4335, or reach them at thescificenter.com.
E-Class Consulting. It's owned and operated by E. Carice, providing tools, training, and resources that are sure to make you and your business even more successful. We are staffed with a marketing, credit, tax, and a real estate consultant. E-Class Consulting also provides a temporary admin service called E-Class Admins. Want to book an appointment with E-Class Consulting? Call 702-518-3002 or email book@eclassconsulting.com. E-Class Consulting, navigating you to greatness.
Keep your radio dial right here. You're locked into the hottest news station on the planet. Hot 702.5 in FM sound. Blazing today's hip-hop, R&B, and pop music. Keeping your radio on fire. Bringing you the hottest, realest, riskiest talk shows live 24/7 on hot7025fm.com.
All right. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Happy Wednesday. How y'all doing this week? What I wanted to say was, I know y'all see me here back in action in the studio. I've been, what do you call it? Doing it at home or at the office, for the last few months because of transportation issues. But now that I am back with wheels, I am, able to start coming back to the station. I actually missed it here. It's the environment that just makes you feel good when you're in a building. You know what I mean? But I said happy Wednesday too, huh? I'm sorry. Happy Thursday. I keep getting my days mixed up with these two jobs and all of this stuff going on in life, man. I be not knowing what day it is. They just run together, it seems like now. But let's start off like I do every single week. I don't want to stray away from the plan. I've been pretty consistent with that for a couple of years now, so I don't want to change that. How have y'all week been? I hope y'all had a productive week, a great week. Me, myself, I had a very challenging week, but I mean that in a great way. I mean that in a way of I grew a little bit this week, and I don't mean by height. I just mean mentally and emotionally. Let's just say, for one, my children my son to be exact. So let me give you a little backstory. My son has this habit of when he faces an issue that's tough for him, he kind of finds a way around it and not through it. Okay. One example I can give is like video games. If he gets to a part in a video game where he can't beat it, he'll start the entire game over. And I'm like, you're going to get back to that part anyway. So one day I kind of saw what he was doing when it came to him riding the bike. He was kind of feeling like, I need training wheels because, I need to learn how to ride this bike. And I'm like, well, you 8. I don't think you actually need training wheels. I think you actually are good to go. I think you are set and that you can do it without it. All in all, I had to sit him down and I gave him a good little pep talk. And I just said, here's the thing. I said, Daddy did not become good at anything he's doing by just jumping into it. And I learned right away. I said, I made so many mistakes. I fell so many times, but the only reason that I got to where I am and I got better at it is because I chose to get back up again every single time. Instead of me just finding a way around it or finding a way to avoid it, I actually attacked it head on until I could beat it. I said, the example I gave at the time was actually a video game. I told him, I said, when we play video games, I didn't learn how to play Spider-Man because I just picked up the controller and started playing. I had to learn that I get beat a lot. I had to learn how to fight. I had to learn how to dodge. Like, I had to learn how to do it. I said, or driving a car. I said, I didn't just learn how to drive a car. I said, I got in a car. I learned how to navigate. I learned how to brake. I learned the speeds, the what do you call speed limits, and the gears in the car to work with. So that's how I learned to do it. I keep trying. So I let him know, basically, when you're facing an obstacle, the only way to get through that obstacle or get over it is to get through it. And I explained to him that giving up may sound good and it may sound cool, but you never really learn from that. All you do is learn to avoid. You learn to stay away from it. So I told him, I said, what I want you to do next time when you're facing an issue or a problem, just come to me and ask for some help. Let me know what it is you need help with. Let me know what's going on, and I'll help you get through it. And I want to say, like, an hour later, he had an issue with the video game, and I was like, okay. I said, is that why you keep starting this game over? Because you keep getting to this part? And he goes, yeah, when I get here, I don't like playing this part, and I can't beat it, so I just start over. And I said, well, you know, you're going to get back to this part of the game every time you start over, so you're not really getting anything from that. And he was like, and that's when I went ahead and told him, I said, well, all in all, you want to just try to play it as much as you can until you learn how to do it. I said, come on, I want to help you, and I'll help you navigate through it. And I started like telling him, guiding him without giving him the actual answers. So I would guide him about it, and I would show him where he should go or give him options of what looked like he should do. And he got through it. You know, he went through it. So over the last course of X amount of time, he's been actually like doing better with that. So instead of him giving up, he's like, I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying. So now, and again, what the situation that he hit me with, it was minor because I was just playing a video game. I was playing Madden, you know, and there was a point in the game where I was, you know, it was late, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna do this tomorrow because I'm kind of tired, you know, like I'll do it tomorrow. And he was like, no, don't give up. You know, he was like, you're supposed to go and do it until you get it. You can't give up, because if you give up, that means, you know, you're not going to be able to make it. You're not going to be able to get to where you want to go. Like, he gave me this whole little pep talk about not giving up about it. And granted, I wasn't giving up on anything, but to him, he thought me saying, oh, I'm going to just do it tomorrow was me not wanting to do it at all today. The fact that he came and tried to give me the pep talk about it, it just kind of hit me about in life, right? It's like right now, yeah, you know, there's so much going on. There's so many things all happening at once. And I may feel a little overwhelmed at times, but don't give up. Just keep going. Keep trying. Like, yeah, you may not be able to get all of this done at the same day, but work on it bit by bit. Like, keep trying, keep at it, keep going. You got it. You can do it, you know? And it was just like, man, it's crazy that my 8-year-old son had to put that motivation in me to realize that you may be overwhelmed, you may be a little overstimulated, but what are you giving up for? Like, all of the hard work you've done up until this point will just go to waste. I don't think that's fair to myself or my family. So even though we were going off of a video game, it's just amazing that my 8-year-old son was able to give me a pep talk to motivate me to say that life may be tough and life may have a lot going on, but you got it. Like, you can do it. You can handle it. You know, that confidence he had in me, it was just amazing to feel. Our little ones are just, man, I don't know how to explain it, because there's no words that can explain how amazing they are. Like, there are certain things that you just don't expect kids to say or do, and they do it anyway. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy, but I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And that's why today I'll talk a little bit about that. But let me talk about my week, you know, get that out the way for the rest of it. And we'll go on more into deep diving into it. For the first time, and I don't know how long, y'all, at least 6 months, at least 5 or 6 months, I had 2 off days from both jobs, Sunday and Monday. Boy, I slept good. I got some rest in, kicked it with the kids a little bit. You know, that's when my son was giving me a little pep talk. It was great. I felt refreshed. I felt like I wasn't like, so here's the normal day-to-day life in Marquand, the life of Quanni. 6 days a week I'm at work. Monday through Saturday I work. Monday is just Inspired Life. Tuesday through Friday is both jobs. Saturday is just Kiss from 11 a.m. to midnight. So that leaves me with only Sundays off, and Sundays typically I spend with the kids and the family. So even though it's my day off from work, I'm still not off from life. Okay, so typically Sundays I spend the day with the kids and the wife, because I want them to know that I still want to spend time with them, even though my schedule is booked up with the jobs, right? This past week even though I was off both days, it's like everybody was just like, you need rest. Everybody was just like, sleep, get some rest, take care of yourself. And I gotta say, I appreciate every single one of them for it. Everybody that coerced me into getting rest this weekend. I wanted to go out and party and drink and celebrate all of my small wins this past few months, but the rest was more important. So I'm glad I did take that time to do it. So I was really excited that I actually had a 2-day weekend. I know some of y'all are happier because y'all had a 3-day weekend. Boo-hoo, sad story, Black American Dad story. All right, let me stop. No. All jokes aside, I'm glad y'all appreciated y'all 3-day weekend and y'all enjoyed it if y'all did. I did enjoy my 2-day weekend, even though I slept a lot. It was still great. I'm not going to lie. I enjoyed it to the fullest. It was what I needed. Speaking of, our anniversary is coming up in a couple of weeks here. What is this? Today's the 20th, so 2 weeks. It's coming up. Oh God, I forgot. I didn't think it was that fast. I thought I had 3 weeks, not 2. So it'll be 4 years on the wedding anniversary, but we're going on 17 years all together, on and off through high school sweetheart. So that's great. That's dope. Anniversary plans, don't ask me about it yet. I'm probably gonna figure something out, but I didn't realize I only had 2 weeks to do so. So yeah. But other than that, this entire week has been pretty productive for me in a way. My phone is the only issue that I had. Like, I don't know if I told y'all, or I did tell y'all about the situation last week with the people. I can't even get to social media and reach out like I need to, because I've literally been carrying around my iPad, and I've been using that on Wi-Fi whenever I could, just to make sure I could stay in contact with people. But thank goodness today is Thursday. By tonight and tomorrow morning, I should have my cellular device back. That'll be good. Yes, the only thing I don't like is I missed out on some sales for the business as far as the birthday parties and costumes. But, I'm not upset at the people because they reached out in a timely manner. They gave me a day or two to respond, and, they had to find somebody else. It ain't gonna be Quanni, but it'll be something. It'll be good. So I cannot afford to take another week without a phone, especially for the business. I definitely need to get that back up and running. Other people have been emailing me, which is great, because those things I can get to whether I'm at home or at work, or just out in the car. I'm not saying I email while I'm driving. I'm the passenger when that's going on. Y'all forget. I have another driver in the household. I don't have to be the only one behind the wheel. But all in all, with that being said, I do want to actually talk about today our little ones, man. I just want to talk about parenting and how these kids teach and mold us so well. If you don't think your kids are teaching you anything or molding you to be a better person, I think you need to rethink what you got going on in life as a parent, because I'm not going to lie to you. From the stages of my son being a day old, the oldest, to now with him being 8, they've been teaching me day in and day out different things about myself and life, which is great to know. Like, when I first had a kid, I thought I was the most patient man in the world. And my son and his mom definitely showed me I was wrong about that. I was wrong about it for sure. But I did learn to gain more patience, even though I'm not a doctor. But first thing I want to talk about is parenting and child development. So this is lessons that you have learned from your kids. This is the closest article that I could find to be more recent. This one is from March of last year. Every other article was like 23 or 22. And y'all know me, I try to get you the latest and greatest. And this pretty much is talk about parenting and child development, how experts can teach many lessons. However, sometimes just observing and reflecting on our own child's behavior is the best teacher. Let me get into it here. So as parents, we like to, this came from thoughtfulparent.com. So if you need to know the website, I want to give you all the sources so you don't think I'm just over here reading off of a note I wrote. As parents, we do like to think that parenting is all about how we influence our child's development. In many ways, that's true. Some of the best parenting advice available helps us see the substantial role we play in our kids' lives. However, if we keep our hearts and minds open, we can learn many lessons about parenting and child development through careful observation. I like that they said careful observation, because not knowing it at the time, not really processing it, you see your kids do something, or you see how they operate with something, and it makes you think, like, where the hell they get that from? Who the hell they see do that? Some things is great to see them do, because, like, I'm glad you took initiative, but other things are like, man, that's a bad habit, bad habit. However, if we keep our hearts and minds open, we can learn many lessons about parenting and child development through careful observation. Although I have academic training in child development, my years of parenting have taught me just as many lessons about children. I like that they say that, because I don't care how many degrees you may have, how many classes you may have took. One thing I will say is, these kids teach you a lesson that is not in the books. They teach you all kind of lessons that are not in books. So all of those being a parent for dummies and things like that, man, look, it helped you to a certain extent, but I'm telling you, the best course of action is to get into it. That's why I say be very involved and active with your kids, because you never really know what's going on. And the more active and involved you are, the less likely you have to worry about trouble. Now, don't overdo it, and be too much in their business, trying to control every single thing. I like my kids to understand that they do have freedom. Freedom is available. I just need you to understand that there are rules and regulations that goes along with that freedom. You can't just be out here doing whatever, whenever you want. If you are doing what you're supposed to do, taking care of business, handling chores, doing homework, listening to parents, both parents, you can have an easy life as long as you put in the work in. It's all about, what is it? I don't want to say the risk is worth the reward, because they ain't really risking nothing, but for lack of a better word, I will use that phrase. The risk is worth the reward. So, parenting and child development lessons. So, here, rearing a child, of course, means to nurture, care for, and guide a child to adulthood. The idea that parenting would be an intentional task that a person does with their life has not always existed. Yes, humans have always cared for their children, but the term parenting as a verb has only come into common usage in the past 50 or so years. In today's world, parenting is considered a big task that one is expected to prepare for and do purposely. In the past, however, such an idea was not even considered. 200 or more years ago, life expectations of adults and especially children were much lower, and children, while loved, were also likely to be considered labor for farms. When childbirth rates started to decline with the movement away from farms, families became smaller and kids became more treasured and raised with care. I like how it points out here about how, life expectancies of adults and children were much lower, and children, while loved, were most likely to be considered labor workers. But it goes to show that they realize, hey, you know what? These kids is that's the future. We need to care for them. We need to make sure that they can grow and develop the right way. Kind of got to people, and they realized they had to take that step. But today, parenting has become more about the relationship between parents and children instead of just a reciprocal duty. This is why parents are more open to actually learning about parenting and child development, and maybe even learning lessons from their own children. I liked that, because a lot of parents think that I'm the teacher. There's nothing you can teach me, nothing you can tell me to do about being a parent that I don't need to know. You're a kid. That's not your place. But I think in all actuality, these kids, whether you like it or not, they are definitely teaching us more about parenting than we thought. One thing that I learned from my kids through parenting is that discipline is not always about punish, or it's about more so teaching them to develop and grow, not more so of just punishment, right? And discipline doesn't always have to involve, you don't have to whoop your kids to discipline them. You don't have to beat them. You don't have to do all of that. Sometimes kids learn through whether you have the conversations, or you can take away toys, or you can take away TV, or, little things you can do for kids for them to kind of learn valuable lessons. So I'll give a brief example. And my wife thought it was harsh at first, but I kid you not, ever since this has happened, my son has been on the best behavior. So school comes around last year for the first month, August, September. I keep getting calls and issues with him in school, and he got a whooping the first time and the second time. But obviously I started to see that the whoopings didn't really work. That wasn't going to do anything. So when they called again, I didn't whoop him. I simply took away his birthday. He didn't get no birthday party. And I told him that. And I told him why he didn't get one. And I told him why he got his game taken away. And man, I kid you not, ever since then, now he was sulking the first couple of weeks because he's no birthday. He's sulking. He's upset. However, after that first couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, he was on it more. I haven't received a call from the school in I don't know how long. Not only that, around the house, he's been more helpful. He's been more, inclined to his duties and responsibilities as a big brother. So I give him credit, because from September to now, instead of the whooping didn't work, because that was back to back. That didn't work. So what did I do? I found another way, and that worked better than I expected it to. way better than I expected it to. He does chores. He tries to help out around the house. He listens to mom. He don't talk back. When he see his siblings trying to talk back, he get in line to help mom out. Like, when I tell you that the small change from just him understanding that there were consequences to his actions, he's like, oh, I don't want to ever have to deal with that again. Because he realized, well, Christmas is coming up too. I don't want to be down bad for Christmas. And I thought that after Christmas, he was going to go back to, being a rug rat. And it's my kid. I could talk about him like that, play around. But I thought he was going to go back to it, and he's been excelling. So, yes, I've been rewarding him for it. And it's not always about the fact of, doing this, doing that. Like, sometimes rewarding him just means I'll take him. Let's say we go to his favorite place to eat, or his favorite place to play, or to the jump zone. It's just to show gratification for improving and growing. So one thing, seeing him do that let me know that it was the correct thing to do for us to sit up here, and instead of trying to find all these different forms of harsh punishment, we found something that worked out, and we barely had to lift a finger. Mom and everybody was upset with me about the birthday party at first, and now everybody was like, I see what you're going for. I get it. And it's not like I'm taking away every single birthday party from him, but I needed him to understand there were consequences to his actions. So that way in the future, it's easier to go around and move around those situations. Now onto a few parenting lessons I have learned from my kids, many more than one. One of them says, conformity isn't everything. So don't worry if your child does not fit the mold or do what other kids do. From day one, I felt like my first son didn't react to situations the way other babies did. Maybe I just had unrealistic expectations, which we all do, right? Being a first-time parent. But he always seemed a little different from the other babies I had been around. For instance, I always saw newborns sleeping peacefully in a car seat at stores or restaurants. Would my son sleep in a car seat? Not at all. Almost from birth, he had a colic-like symptoms and hated the car seat. I would strap him in to go to the store or to meet a friend, and he would scream from door to door. At first, this disturbed me a lot. I would break down in tears almost every time we went for a car ride. Soon, I realized he just hated the sensations, the noise, etc. I quickly learned that understanding your child's temperament is key. Over a few months, he did get better about riding in the car, but it wasn't until he was a toddler and could enjoy a toy, book, or song on the radio that car rides got more enjoyable. And I agree to that, because Junior was probably the only one. But if you ain't playing music, he gonna trip. He want to hear some music or something while y'all in the car. Otherwise, he gonna get to tripping. As a toddler, he was a ball of energy, to say the least. All toddlers have a lot of energy, but he seemed to never stop. I vividly remember being at a play group with other moms or toddlers. My son was about 2 years old, and at the time, he and the other kids were playing in a big open room at our church. First off, my son was the only one climbing on anything that was possible to climb on in the room. A stack of chairs, a table, anything. Secondly, he was the only child in the group that never sat down to eat. All the other parents would bring the kids a sack of lunch to eat while we chatted. All the other toddlers would be sitting in their chairs and eat sandwiches and fruit. And what will my son do? Run to the table, grab some food, and run off chewing all the way. This, of course, makes me sound like a horrible parent. Let me explain. I had tried every tactic I knew to get him to sit for more than 2 seconds, and it simply never worked. I guess I could have physically restrained him in my lap, but that just seemed counterproductive to me. Guess what? He is now 6 years old, and he can sit down and eat a meal normally, although he still likes to multitask. And just a little note to that, I think every kid is going to be different, right? Every kid is going to go about their life different, and they're going to do weird things that you don't understand. But I think one thing I love that she did in that article that she said is that, or that they said, was that the kid, I could have forced him to sit down and eat. I could have restrained him and made it happen. But I didn't do that because I felt like that was a little too much. I don't think that's fair. And the fact that they found an alternate way to make that happen for the kid, I think that's dope, because instead of you saying, all right, well, that's not working, I'm going to go to force. I think you have to have real patience and discipline to realize that, you know what? That's not working, but I'm not going to force you either, because that's going to be, like you said, counterproductive. So let me find a way to go around that while it's still going to benefit me and you in a healthy way. And that's what happened, because now look at them 6 years down the road, or 4 years down the road, my apologies. 4 years down the road, and everything is working out. All of my kids have done something at one point in time where I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't know why you do that. But I don't stop them. I'm not telling them not to do it. It's just like, I don't know why you do that. And it is what it is. But I do see sometimes it's because they have their own ways of going about things, you know. Whether you want to believe it or not, kids are very intelligent. Kids are very, very smart. My kids ask things that you would never think kids would be asking or even wanting to talk about. I am very transparent with my children. I'm so glad that my children don't ask me questions that they are just too young to ask right now. I'm so glad that they have not done all of that. But I am very transparent when it comes to explaining things to them. And it's only because I don't want my kids to be, I don't want to sugarcoat things to them. I need them to understand how reality works, right? There's a way to show them reality without having them to be in it, right? So if you're asking me a question about something, I got to be truthful with you as a kid, because all your life growing up, you're going to know, well, when I went to dad or I went to mom to ask this, I got the answer I needed. May not have gotten the answer I wanted, but I got the answer I needed. And I want my kids to have that faith in me to understand that when there is something that you want to talk about, or you have an issue with, or you want to know more about, I can only give you the truth on what I know or what I understand about it. Sometimes I'm probably going to tell you, like, I'm so sorry I don't have more information about that, but let's look it up together. You know, we'll find a way to do it together. But I will never sit here and just make it seem like I am going to hide reality from my children, because I feel like, and I say this story multiple times, but I don't know if you guys ever seen it. There was a kid, and he was talking to his mom. And he's an adult now. I'm sorry, let me rephrase this. He's a grown man now. They're adults. And the conversation he had with his mom was, he said, well, if you love me the way you say you love me, instead of you protecting me from this world, you would have taught me how to survive in it. And I think that is such a powerful statement, because me and my mother had our differences as adults, but as a kid growing up, I felt like she showed us reality. She showed us what things really look like. And I think I respect her so much because of that, because instead of her trying to protect me from it, she taught me how to survive in it. She taught me how to deal with it, how to handle it when it comes my way. Yes, as parents, we don't want our kids dealing with stuff that's going to hurt them, or stuff that's going to, hold them back, or is going to cause some trauma possibly. But also as parents, where do we draw the line and say, I am hindering my child's growth? Because there's no way on God's green earth am I going to stop my child from growing. And if I feel like me trying to protect you from this world is going to hinder your growth, I'm not going to do that. Again, this is my opinion and my opinion only, my views only. But I do feel like that there is nothing that is going to benefit these kids if you shield them from reality their entire lives. You cannot do that. I believe it's a way for you to introduce them into reality, to show them what it would look like when you have to handle a situation like that. Because kids need to understand things really happen. For example, I don't know, like a couple months ago, the lights got cut off at the house. Did the lights get cut off because we didn't have the money to pay them? No, the lights got cut off because I forgot about the bill. So what did I do? I went online, I paid the bill instantly, and within 15 minutes, the lights were cut back on. But what I told my kids was, you know what? Daddy forgot to pay the power bill. That's why the power got cut off. I'm sorry about that. I'll be better about it next time. I'll be more, I'll pay more attention to it to make sure it don't happen again. Luckily it happened as they were walking out the door for school. But the fact of the matter is they saw that the lights were cut off. You know what I mean? So when they got back home and lights were on, they were like, what happened? So I explained to them. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I don't know what's going on with the power. I'll call the power company and see, and, I'll let you know what happens. And when the power comes back on, tell them it was just an accident. I don't know why, no. Sorry, Daddy forgot to pay the power bill, so the power got cut off. So what I want you to understand is if you don't pay your bills, they can't cut your bills off. So you want to make sure you stay on top of those bills. That way you ain't got to worry about that. Okay? Because it sucks to have your power off and it don't need to be off. You know what I mean? So any chance I get to show my kids what reality looks like, I put that situation and I manipulate the situation for them to understand it. And again, when you hear manipulating, you think negative, that's just probably because you're negative with manipulation. I don't think all manipulation is bad. I think there are some forms of good manipulation to benefit everyone. In this case, I think that was a good form of manipulation. What I do is I manipulate the situation so they would understand why you shouldn't do it and why you should make sure you're on top of your bills, One thing y'all have to realize is that we're not going to be here forever. We see that with some of our friends and their parents are gone. We don't know when our parents are going, but we're not going to be here forever. So I say that to say that you have to be ready to teach your children to survive without you. The hardest, the best thing about parenting is also the hardest thing about parenting, which is the hardest thing is watching your kids grow up. It's difficult because they start to not need you. They start to be less inclined to call you for stuff or do something for them. Like my kids are making their own food now, and I'm like, I can do it. I'll help you. And they're like, no, I got it. So you know what I mean? Little things like that. It's the best thing and it's the hardest thing because you get to watch them grow and develop as their own little people, their own personalities grow the way they could. But it sucks because as a parent, you're less likely to be needed now. But let's not forget that is our role as a parent to make sure our kids can survive in this world without us. They don't need to have us around holding their hand 24/7 when we're supposed to teach them how to be able to deal with life in this world when we're not around. I don't want my kids thinking at 21 they need to have it all figured out and they need to be able to get it done. I want them to understand that at 21, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make issues. You're going to have problems. You're going to fall down plenty of times, so just stand back up. Yes, life is going to be tough. Life is going to be hard, but nobody said life is going to be easy. My favorite quote, if everybody says life is unfair, does that not make life fair? If everybody thinks it's unfair, I think that's fair then at that point. So I think that statement kind of contradicts itself in a way. But I know some people use it just as a phrase, just as I'm having a bad day. But same thing with the kids. I'm never going to let them feel like or think that anything I'm doing is shielding them from actually resolving the problem or issue that sometimes I may not be around for. You know what I mean? For example, my son, what was it at home? I think at home that's what it was. He was having issues with the TV. He didn't know what channel it was supposed to go on for it and everything. And it was like, normally what I would do I would just turn the channel for him. So I would be like, all right, I'm going to just turn it so I can help you out. But then I started to realize like, man, like you keep having the same issue. Like you didn't see me do it. Don't know what to do. But I didn't take the time to show him. I just did it for him. I just did it. So what I did was I went ahead and showed him like, okay, look, when you turn it on, you got to wipe this part and then press it. And then it'll cut on. And then if it's not on the channel, you press this one here and it'll go to the channel you want. But this is the channel you want to look for when it turns. And ever since then, I don't got to do that for him no more. He knows what to do. I know that was a small little example, but I just want to give you something brief to show you like these kids will learn if you teach them, if you are willing to teach them. But I also say in that, don't feel like you know everything. Understand that there can also be a teachable moment for you in that. You know what I mean? Like I learned that in that situation, I learned that my kids learn better hands-on. I mean, that's like me though, so I can't be surprised at that. But they learn better hands-on. I can sit there and say, Terrence, you know, if you want to turn the game on, you got to go get the remote. You got to hold the power button, and then the game will come on. You got to log into your profile, then you can play whatever game you want. And then probably like 2 minutes later, he'd be calling me because like, okay, what do I do again? But if I sit him down, hey, Terrence, this is what you do. You take the remote, you press this button here. This is the one to turn the game on. You press that and hold it. Once the game come on, you press this one to sign into your profile, and then the games pop up. You could choose what you want to play. And then from there on out, he ain't gonna need my help no more. You know, I say that because even when it comes to things like the microwave, you know, at 6 years old, I taught him how to start using the microwave, and he was supervised up until this last year. You know, depending on what he's making, he know to come grab me. But if it's like pizza rolls or a hot pocket or a burrito, he know he got it. He don't need my help. Or if he got to toast some bread, he know he got it. He don't need my help. He got it all day long. But he know if he got to get to that stove to make noodles or something, guess who he coming to get? Mommy or daddy. You know, guess who he coming for? And it's not that he don't know how. I just, again, that's something that I'm going to supervise him for a while before I can just leave him and say, okay, you can start working with a stove now. Don't get me wrong, just because I've seen you do it a couple of times, I've seen you do it. So I want to sit there and make sure you're very careful. My kids are very short attention span. So, you know, something like that, I need to knock that out the park before you go ahead and just be cooking by yourself. But all in all, like I'll never put these kids in a position where they think that I am going to do everything for them and resolve everything for them without teaching them how to do it. I'm sorry. I can sit there and hold your hand 1,000,000 times as we do it together to get you to learn. I don't mind that. But I'm not going to keep doing it for you. And then one day when you come around and you're like, how do I do this? I look like I did not do my job as a parent. that way. I look like I've just been sitting here eating Cheerios after I get off work, drinking beers every day instead of being active and involved with my kids. So I never want my children to feel like that they have to what do you call it, fit the mold, for lack of a better word, in society. When, be open. Like, I need them to understand that when you have a problem or issue you can't get past or you can't resolve, it's okay to ask for help. I don't want them to be like I was growing up, man. It was difficult for me to ask for help. I felt like, well, let me just try to do it on my own. And I made so many mistakes that way, but I learned from them all too. I learned so many lessons. But I want my kids to have that leg up to be able to say, like, well, my dad kind of coached me and taught me well with this or that. And I don't know everything. And so I can't help them with everything, but I know I can put them in the right direction to get the help they need for something. My son wants to start, we talked about basketball, football, and soccer. And the soccer season, I think it just started. But there's a couple teams still taking players in. So, but even with that, like, even though soccer ain't my thing, it ain't, I don't know where to go. I don't know how to do it. What I do is I did the research. I looked at the team, looked at who's available, looked at what teams are for kids that start. Because I'm not going to go try to put him on a professional team and he don't know how to play yet, right? I want him to get that experience under his belt. But I did all of that so that way he would have the right tools and resources to be able to play soccer and do what he needs to do. Again, I don't know everything, and I'm not going to have the answer for everything, but what I can do is at least go to the right direction or point them in the right direction with it. Kalila wants to do cheerleading, and again, I know nothing about cheerleading. Guess who do? Mom. So guess who I went to? I went to Mom. Hey, Kalila says she want to start doing cheerleading. Is there a way we can look into that to see what we need to do, how we get it started? You know what I mean? And it's just all about being able to say, like, we have to realize something. These kids, they didn't ask to be here, even though even though we know they swam that race and they was in first place. You know what I mean? They didn't ask to be here, so we should be helping them grow without them having to worry about being held back or staying in a stagnant position. I don't think staying stagnant is good in any shape or form, to be honest with you, unless it comes to integrity, which we always want everybody to have great integrity. But I kid you not, and again, I don't want y'all to take this personal, because I'm just taking in the collective as to what I see from social media, society, all in general, or while I'm out in public in general. I just see that a lot of people are not paying attention to these kids as they should. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, I love the compliment about, oh, you're a good dad, you're a great dad. I love the compliments. But what I will say is I'm supposed to be a father to them. I'm supposed to be doing my thing. I'm supposed to make sure they got clothes on their back, a roof over their head, food on the table. That is my responsibility when I decided to have children. I can't disclose how important it is to realize that the minute you choose to have kids, it's not about you anymore. It is not about you anymore. Now you have an entire life in your hands that you have to help mold for them to grow and be and develop and be the great persons or little persons that they're going to be and grow up to be. So again, I don't want y'all to take it personal. I just want y'all to see me or come from a place of understanding. The kids, they need us. We do need them too, but they need us for direction, for guidance, for protection. And a lot of y'all, I think, I get it. Some of y'all may have had kids to keep somebody else around, or some of y'all may have had them just to, for the experience, whatever it may be. But I feel like this: if you had them, it's time to change up your game plan. It's time to change up your lifestyle. It's time to change up everything you got going on. Now, again, you don't have to change up every single thing about your lifestyle, because there's a lot you can include your kids in. But I do think there are some things you have to change in order to be a parent. Like, I know I can't go out every weekend no more like I used to do. I can't go partying and drinking all the time. I can't just waste my money on any and everything because I want to. It doesn't work like that no more. What I can do now is I can make sure I save, make sure we got money put away in case a bad situation happens, make sure in case something's going on at school, we got the funds to provide them to get it done. That's what I can do. But what I will not do is hinder their growth. I just think that's unfair to the kids. I think God will just know that if you ain't treating your kids right, like, that's probably why some of y'all having bad luck in situations. I think they seeing how y'all acting towards these kids, and it's an issue. It's a problem. Now, I know it's some parents out there, and y'all be doing y'all thing. I give y'all credit for everything y'all do, but and this is not about y'all, nothing towards y'all. This is strictly towards the parents. And if you don't know who you are, I'm not trying to point no fingers, but if you feel like you are hindering your child's growth, then this message may be for you. Because as parents, we're going to always feel like we can do better. That's just a given. But if you're not feeling like you can do better, you're just hindering your child's growth instead, that's the problem right there. And we need to fix that, because, the youth is our generation. That's our future, believe it or not. And yeah, some of these new generations, we don't understand them, but are we really blaming it on the kids, or do we look at the parents in that situation? Because let's be honest, the kids are only going to do what you allow, and it just depends on what the environment was you were raised in, I don't want y'all, again, don't take it personal, but I want you to take it to the heart. I do. I want you to take it to the heart, and just what I'm trying to say. Let me see. I got one more here that I do want to talk about first. It's really just something, because y'all have these things confused. But this just talk about parental rights, like the definition of it. You know what I mean? And again, y'all gonna hear this and be like, why are you telling me this? If it don't apply to you, then let it fly. You know what I mean? It says, what are parents' civil rights? Parents have the fundamental right to make decisions regarding their child's upbringing without government interference. These decisions include decisions about education, religion, and healthcare. While government mandates require that a child is provided with an education, the parent has the right to choose whether they will enroll the child in private school, public school, or homeschooling. Right. Legal obligation of a parent. In the United States, a parent is obligated to provide the basic needs of their child, including housing, food, education, and medical care. Parents are also expected to protect their children from harm and support their emotional needs, as well as their financial needs, until they reach 18 years of age or have graduated high school. If these needs are not met, the parent risks the termination of their parental rights. So basically, we have a simple set of rules as parents to follow. And most of it is just like basic needs you would need for any human. Basic things you want to do and take care of. The fact that even though you have rights and what needs to be done, you still get to choose on how you do that. You get to choose how you discipline. You get to choose how you school them. You get to choose, what they eat. Well, let me rephrase that. I don't choose what they eat. I do offer selections. I don't eat pork. I haven't had pork in about 8 years, but that does not mean that I stop my kids from eating pork. I think some decisions, yes, I'll make sure that they can eat healthy. I'll make sure they got fruits and vegetables, make sure they got this, they got that, but I'm not going to restrict their diet until that's something they choose that they want to do, unless I saw it was detrimental to their health and they needed to. Other than that, I'm not going to restrict their diet. But you get to choose their food, you get to choose their where they go to school, the kind of clothes they should wear. You get all of these different options of how to be a parent, how to choose to do it. And some of y'all choose not to do anything. I've just seen some of y'all give it to your parents, let them deal with it, or you just say forget it and give them to the state and let the state deal with it. And I'm just telling y'all right now, as a kid that grew up without a great relationship with his parents, we remember everything. And when you become an adult with that kind of upbringing, it's hard for you to build connections with them again. It's hard for you to be wanting to be around your parents or want to confide in them or talk to them, because it felt like all your life they haven't been there to do it. So it becomes, I wanted this trauma, to be honest with you, it's trauma that you got to get over. But also with that, it's like, I don't feel like I can learn nothing from my parents because I don't feel like they have the capabilities to do so. I feel like that now that I'm an adult and they don't have to deal with me or tolerate me, they don't want to see me or be around me. That is horrible to let your kid think like that. It's horrible. And I don't want my kids thinking that. I don't want my kids feeling like that. I'm telling y'all, as a kid that used to be there, don't do that to these kids. It creates so much trauma that they got to work through and fight through. It is a battle in its own. And if we can prevent that, right, because we have the resources, we can prevent that. That's what we should be doing. We should be preventing that, doing the best to our abilities to make sure they got the best upbringing they can within our control. You know what I mean? I'm not telling you to give your kid a silver spoon. What I'm just saying is spend more time with them. Be more active, more involved, because I kid you not, it will be so much easier for you as a parent to start now and be active and involved instead of trying to get involved and active into their lives months and years down the road, because then at that point they're gonna look at you like, what you doing? You don't need to be doing all of this. Like, what you got going on? Versus them knowing that you've always been there doing that, like, all right, let me scoot over for you so you can kind of help me through this again too, you know? I'm glad that my kids have the confidence to come and ask for help now, you know, after teaching them about it, about how it's okay to ask for help, and people need help all the time. And I even gave them examples of how I was so stubborn back in the day and I wouldn't ask for help, and how I would go through problems and situations because I couldn't set my pride aside. That ego is a motherfucker. I'm telling you, it is crazy. So I'm just telling y'all, we can be better. We can do better. We should be doing better, especially if you in my generation. We in our 30s now. We don't have time to have temper problems no more and attitude issues, and we should have been working on all of that already, and it's time to get that out the way. You know, parenting is a big part of who you are. Like, it shows your character. It shows how you are as a character. I love the compliment that your children are so well behaved. I don't love the compliment because they're supposed to be well behaved. I love the compliment because it shows that our parenting, me and their mother's parenting, is working. You know, and no, I'm not saying we have the perfect parenting style. We are learning still. We are learning day in and day out. With each kid, we are learning. But the thing about it is we're open to doing better instead of, you know, not wanting to take constructive criticism. Because one thing I'll tell you right now is I have never hesitated to call another parent that I know that has a certain game plan, or they have an operation, to ask for advice. Hey, look, let me ask you a question real quick. You know, my son, you know, or my daughter, this has been going on. Like, you know, have you had that issue with your kid before? You know, how have you gotten around that? How have you worked through that? What did you do to kind of get them to see differently? Like, believe it or not, me and my friends have those conversations with each other when it comes to our children, because there may be some things that you can give me on advice that may work for me, or it may be something I can alter in those plans that'll work for my kids. But what I'm not finna do is make it seem like I don't need help from nobody because I'm the perfect parent. I am by far the farthest thing from perfect when it comes to being a parent. When it comes to being a person, the farthest thing from perfect. What I will say is I'm trying. I am trying in life. I am trying as a father, trying as a husband, trying as in my career field. I am trying in life. So I don't want to be perfect. I just want to try. I just want to put the effort in. And as the moral of the story for this is, I just want y'all to put the effort in. You never know what you can do until you try, and I kid you not. Y'all may think it's a lot of work, but the sooner you start being involved with the kids, the easier it becomes to kind of know where to go with it. Like, now that I've been so involved from birthing up, it's like when they face a situation, I got an easier way to handle it than to be like, oh, I don't know what to do. Hey, what did he say? What did Plankton say when he got the Krabby Patty formula? He was like, oh, I don't know what to do. I didn't think I'd make it this far. You know what I mean? I ain't trying to be there. I ain't trying to be that. What I'm trying to do is be able to say, I've given and had the tools and resources available to my children to say, I can either help you or point you in the right direction. That's it. But I'm telling y'all, the sooner you start, easier it is. The easier it'll be. You ain't got to worry about fighting kids as teenagers or yelling at them or tripping all the time because you don't understand what's going on in their life. I think sometimes we wait till the last minute to be involved, and that's where the issues start to come, because you're like, I don't understand where this is coming from. And that's probably because you've been avoiding this kid for so many years instead of paying more attention to him. I get it. We are tired as parents and adults. We have to go to work. We have to provide. We have to help them with homework. We have to get them ready for bed. Then we have to get ourselves ready for bed, ourselves fed. And we have to go back to work the next morning, get them ready for school. I get it. I get it. I get it. But I'll tell you one thing is, when we had kids, we signed up for all of that. That's what a parent involves. That's what you decided you wanted to do when you said, I'm going to bring another life into this world. So let's give them the respect they deserve, the appreciation they deserve, and the attention they deserve. Because I kid you not, later on down the road, when those kids become grown adults and they remember all of that, if you were not around how they wanted you to be, man, I think you're going to have a big issue. And I'm telling you this because, y'all, I work at a funeral home. Time is so short. You never know when you are having your last time with your loved one. You never know. My heart sinks every time I meet with a kid, a son or a daughter that is burying their father or cremating their father. My heart sinks a little bit for that. So it's like, man, like I imagine my kids in this situation, how would they be acting? How would they be doing? And the fact that all of them will say that, you know, like, I can handle it. I can get this out the way because I'm prepared to do it. I was raised to be able to get this handled and taken care of. It shows volumes to those parents. It speaks volumes for those parents on how they were so involved in making sure their kids had every bit of help they needed every step of the way. Okay. So I hope y'all take into consideration what I said. I hope I don't really sound like a big bugaboo, and if I do, oh well. I just want y'all to hear me. Other than that, again, don't shoot the messenger. Maybe just reach out to me and we can talk and have a conversation. But I'm so glad that y'all were here with me again on this wonderful Thursday evening. Thank you again for tuning in to the hottest radio station on the planet. So, if you want to catch me again, you have to catch me next week, next Thursday, same time, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, here on the hottest radio station on the planet, which is Hot 702.5 FM. I'll catch y'all again. I'll see y'all later. Peace, love, and hair grease. Until next week.
Hi. Hey. What's up?
All your favorite artists.
Check it out.
Say my name.
DJ Khaled.
This is Mila J.
Bruno Mars.
On Hot 702.5FM.com.